For me, it's personally, professionally, extremely satisfying, and it's quite an exceptional journey, even if I may say so myself, because you hardly get an association which is so long, and it was a new company which had come into India with the promise that it's going to bring some wonderful cars from around the world and introduce it and make it good for Indians, to have a variety of. See, we're talking about times when there was not much variety in cars in India. So, to be at the inception stage and then grow on to have the SANTRO itself, the i10, the Elite i20, Creta, Accent, so many successes. I think it's been a very fulfilling, very satisfying, one of the nicest associations and relationships that I've shared. Yeah, I do remember I was, I'm a little nostalgic about it. I was shooting with the late Miss Shri Devi. When the first time this offer came to me, I was shooting in a studio and I had this team of people who were showing me the promise of the new car called Hyundai. A lot of talk about how it should be pronounced Hyundai. They told me like Sunday. We obviously pronounced it as Hyundai. And everybody had a lot of things to say. Nobody really heard of it, though it was an internationally known brand. But, to come into India. But it also seemed like a very, very big thing at that point in time, that there'll be a car plant here and there'll be cars, it'll become an Indian car. So it started off, like that. And, it started off like that. And I think to be able to fulfill a promise with the product, as Hyundai has done, is quite amazing. And we had, I remember the first advertising was Mr. Kim, and he had come down and he was going to hand over the legacy of Hyundai from Korea to India. And it was very interesting, very, very interesting. And of course, the unknown, that whether it'll work or not, made it even more exciting. And we sit here 20 years later, and mashallah, it's turned out so well. So it makes it doubly satisfying. It's very strange for me to say. I think me and Sachin Tendulkar started at the same time. I'm not comparing myself to the great Sachin. And that seems to be a thing in my head that, we were around the same year in 91 when we started our careers. And I always tell him that I always looked up to him. The second association that I have in my life, which is nearly as long-term, apart from my wife, of course, is Hyundai, which has been going on for 20 years. And in a certain sense, when you work with someone for so long, you kind of attach your future with each other and feel proud of each other's achievements. And somewhere down the line, I think Hyundai as a brand, as a team, and people that I work with, and me as an actor and an entertainer, I think both of us have had really wonderful times and some downsides also. But the core has always been, for me as an entertainer, that I'll try to innovate and try and bring in new things, which makes me happy and people happy. And I think the same stands for Hyundai, that they've been trying to innovate, and success or failure, try and keep the customer satisfied with the variety and with the newness of the product. So I think this definition has been similar for Hyundai and me, that we both try our best to do our best and then kind of leave the rest. Personally, of course, I have three children now. I have a 21-year-old son, an 18-year-old daughter, and a 5-year-old son. And I think there is no higher point in life or brilliant spark in my life than having those wonderful children. My wife bringing them into this world and changing our lives. And life goes on, work goes on, great things happen, good things happen, but they're all things. I think the nicest feeling for me is having my family together and my children to have turned out beautiful in all ways possible, in nature, in emotion, in kindness and gentleness. Honestly, the one which is the weakest is always closest to your heart. So Dil Se had not done well at the box office. So that child was the weakest. so will always remain closest to my heart. It's very strange. Today is 20 years of Dil Se, as we sit down and talk. Oh yeah, it's 20 years of Dil Se too, and Hyundai. So in terms of weakness, I think Dil Se is closest to my heart. I'll always, and I think I speak for the rest of our team. We made that film with a lot of love, but it just kind of didn't go where we thought. And today, when I was driving down here, they were all praising what a classic, and I was just telling my team, what the hell? Tab bolte na, abhi kya bol rahe ho yaar, classic, 20 saal baad. But of course, jokes apart, and seriously, I do feel for Dil Se, but SANTRO and Kuch Hota hai, because they're both successful. That's why I don't choose them as favorite. I just like they were kids who could take care of themselves and take care of me too. Yeah, I used to endorse, I think, a cola brand first, which went on for 14, 15 years. That was very long, apparently the longest, and now this is the longest. And I think somewhere, this sensibility that we both share in the group, Hyundai group, and in myself, that if we can retain the dignity, the essence, and the core value of working hard and trying our best to give the best to our customers, a lot of changes which are superficial and people talk about in marketing need not affect each other. And I'm extremely glad that they've stuck with me because, there are times my associations with a lot of brands have been very, very long term. But I think relationships like this should be kept, when you have a good thing going. And Khuda na khasta, even if the bad thing was going, as long as we stick together, we're able to lead each other out of issues and problems. I still remember, I was, it's a very personal story I should say about Hyundai. I was short of money to give payment down for my house, etc. And I remember that my, how do you say, the contract was done, and whether they would renew it 2 years later or not, I was already signed for 2 years. And I remember calling the team at Hyundai and saying, listen, I don't know if you're signing me 2 years, but if you are, then can I have the advance for 2 years later so that I can pay for my house? And I think I must have made the call in the afternoon, and by evening, and it was very sweet for the team to just come down and say, listen, please don't worry about it, whether we sign or not. So the relationship has gone beyond money. It's just been, moving on forward together. So for me, it's quite a, how do I say, professional and personal defining relationship. No, I'd feel very jealous. No, I don't want anyone else to endorse Hyundai ever, and especially SANTRO. No. Well, I think, when we're marketing things, finally it comes down to how innovative you are and how interesting you are. And today in social media, I think people like to see things which are good storytelling. And if you have an actor attached with your brand, I think it just seeps into your psyche that there should be storytelling more than just saying that, just vanity telling about how wonderful we are. So I think this Brilliant Moments campaign is telling people to come forward and say, 20 years or your association with Hyundai or otherwise, give us moments of your life which have changed you, or some moments that you kind of lived with Hyundai. And I think the response has been wonderful because, if you can tell a good story on social media, people will love it. And like we just know, it's more than 500 million views have happened and 18,000 stories have come down. And I think they'll keep on growing, and we'll continue pushing it because I think that's the best way also to be interactive with your clients and customers who've been with you for 20 years and, share their memories, hopefully, with the Hyundai a part of it. I have lots of them. One of the sweetest one is I'd taken my daughter out once, and I said, I'll discreetly come with her. So I wore a hoodie, and I went in a SANTRO to buy her something from a shop, and her friend was with her. And I said, we'll go quietly, and we'll park it. Because there's so many SANTROs on the road, it won't seem out of the ordinary, and we'll just go and quietly do it. And I got recognized because everybody recognized me as the SANTRO wala. So instead of being recognized because of me, I was recognized because I was driving that car. From then onwards to, I've had people turning around on streets and say, "Sir, हमारे पास वो शाहरुख खान वाली गाड़ी है." And I find that very interesting. Shah Rukh Khan's car is not the car that he may be driving in XYZ to a shoot. Shah Rukh Khan wali gadi is the SANTRO. So for me, that is very sweet. I think, like I've been saying, the relationship is 20 years, and when you're endorsing something that you have a relationship with for so long, it doesn't remain about work. It just becomes, you're coming together like today at the shoot, figuring out what you're doing, and doing it in the interest of each other without doing it like a job. So if I was to call myself still an endorser for Hyundai, then it's really easy. Acting is, and with Hyundai, there is no chance of failure. Films are difficult. You can always have chances of failure as an actor, and yeah, it's more difficult being an actor than being a part of Hyundai family. Yeah, wherever we get an opportunity, as a matter of fact, I think the first time we associated or got together, and that time it wasn't fashionable to have in-market placement and stuff, or in-film marketing. And I remember, I think we did for Phir Bhi Dil Hai Hindustani. And it's a wrong thing to say because we promote safety. So I learned how to do a 360 turn in a car which was a Santro, with Juhi Chawla sitting beside me. And I remember one of the lights that a cameraman had put, Santosh 7, it broke because I turned so fast and caught fire. Her sari caught fire. Completely unsafe thing to do. Don't do this at home. And I've never tried that again. But a Santro can do a 360 turn. Then it went on to me trying it in Dawn in Germany, in Berlin. And very sweetly, all the cars were sent, and we have to equip them for putting on cameras, and all that was also done. And Rabne, I was dancing atop a Santro, I think. And in Fan, we introduced a new car. And in some places we used it. I think the association is more so whenever I get an opportunity where I can tell Hyundai that, like, listen, the car is an important part. Like in Dawn, I think it was very cool for Dawn to have this specific car, which Hyundai was kind enough to very pompously let us write D instead of H of Hyundai. But it's always nice if I can have my own car, the Shah Rukh wali gadi, in my own film, and it's always turned out well for us. And genuinely, for action sequence handling, I think the car is, I can vouch for it. Still to say, don't try those things at home. I think, of course, like I said, people do know me as the Santro wala guy, or Shah Rukh Khan wali gadi. And when Hyundai started, the idea was to reach out to maximum people in the country and make cars affordable to everyone. Move them from perhaps two-wheelers to four-wheelers. Make it like a family concept vehicle. And I think when that happens with Hyundai, obviously, people's, at least, when they imagine me, or when they think of me, or when they remember me, they associate me with the car which has come into their lives and changed their lives. Yes, I do, but it's difficult with traffic, so I do it late nights. But yeah, I really like driving myself. It's a little old-fashioned to be a driver now, because everybody thinks one should be hands-free and not really driving a car. But I really love driving. I enjoy it, and in Mumbai it is kind of possible only late nights, 2-3 a.m. in the morning, and I do that sometimes with the kids. On the work front, I'm working on a film, which is quite interesting, and hopefully people will like it as much as I like it. It's called Zero. On personal front, I want to learn Italian cooking, and I want to spend more time with my children, and I want to write a book. I want to make 27 more films, and I want to make the greatest film ever made in the history of mankind. I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of ideas. I have more innovative and more bigger, ambitious plans than Hyundai itself. So I have a lot of things I want to do.